The stars outside his window were spinning. Pilot Ray Carter gripped the controls tightly. His ship, Stingray 9, was falling fast toward a strange green planet. Smoke filled the cockpit. Alarms screamed. Red lights blinked everywhere. Mayday! Mayday! This is Stingraying. I'm hit. I'm going down. But there was no answer. Just static. The ship shook violently. A wing broke off. Ray saw trees rushing up at him through the cracked glass. Then, dash impact, boom, the ship slammed into the jungle. Trees snapped, fire exploded. The metal shell of the ship cracked and burned. Silence. Ray opened his eyes. His head hurt. Everything was blurry. But he was alive. He coughed and pulled himself. Out of the smoking wreck, thick green plants surrounded him. The air was hot, humid, and full of strange smells like burnt metal and flowers. He looked at the sky. It was purple, with 3 moons floating above. Great, not Earth, he muttered. His radio was dead. No signal, just a broken pistol, a knife, and a crushed water bottle. He was stranded. He started walking, moving carefully through the jungle. Giant flowers hissed when he passed. Some plants moved like they were alive. Suddenly, he heard a low growl behind him. He turned. Something big was watching him. It stepped out a beast with 6 legs, covered in scales, with yellow eyes and long, sharp teeth. Like a lion, but larger and angry. It roared and charged. Ray ran. He jumped over a root and turned to shoot. The pistol fired once, twice. Out of ammo, the beast lunged swoosh. A silver spear flew through the air and hit the beast in the chest. It screamed and fell. Ray looked up, breathing hard. Standing there was a tall alien woman, at least 7 feet tall. Her skin was deep blue, with glowing silver tattoos. She wore armor made of dark metal and strange bones. In her hand was another spear. She stared at him with sharp, glowing eyes. "You are not one of us," she said. Her voice was deep and cold. Ray raised his hands. "I'm not here to fight." She walked closer.
Oh, she was massive, strong arms.
Proud. Stance. A face like carved stone. "You are small," she said, and soft. "Thanks," Ray said. "I crash-landed. Don't want trouble." She didn't answer. She stepped forward and, with one hand, grabbed him by the shirt and lifted him off the ground like a toy. He tried not to panic. "You'll come with me," she said. Other tall alien women stepped out of the trees, all armed, all watching. They surrounded Ray and marched him through the jungle. After hours, they reached a hidden base built into the rocks. Alien towers rose from the ground, glowing with strange energy. Drones buzzed in the air. They pushed Ray into a prison cell made of glowing energy bars. No one spoke to him. He sat down, thinking, what was this place? Who were these aliens? Why didn't they just kill him? Then, the door opened. Another alien woman entered, but this one was different. Taller. Her armor had red edges. Her silver tattoos glowed brighter. Her eyes were sharp, serious. The others stepped aside. She was the commander. Ray stood as she walked up to his cell. "So, the human." She said. Ray nodded. "That's me." She looked him up and down slowly. "You are alone?" "Yes." "Strange. Your kind usually travel in packs, like vermin." Ray frowned. "Thanks for the warm welcome." She didn't smile. "This planet is a training ground. No one is supposed to land here. I didn't choose it. My ship was hit during battle. I crashed." She stared into his eyes for a long time. Then she said something that made Ray freeze. "This isn't mating season, human. But I'll make an exception." He blinked. "Wait, what?" The guards behind her shifted awkwardly. One even coughed to hide a smile. Ray tried to keep calm. Is that a joke or a threat? She leaned closer, her silver eyes glowing. That depends on your answers. I'm not a spy. I swear. I'm just a pilot. We'll see. Then she added, almost softly, you are strange. Weak body. But you faced a jungle beast. You didn't run far. I'm not weak, Ray said. She narrowed her eyes. Then prove it. She turned and walked away. The guards followed, leaving Ray alone in the glowing cell. He sat down again, heart pounding. What the hell kind of place is this? One thing was clear. These aliens were warriors. They didn't trust him, and their commander was dangerous. Curious and something else. Ray didn't sleep that night. The alien cell glowed with a soft blue light that never turned off. Strange sounds echoed from the jungle outside, screeches, deep growls, and whispers carried by the wind. He sat with his back against the wall, thinking about the commander's words. This isn't mating season, human, but I'll make an exception. What did that even mean? Was it a threat, a joke, or something more serious? In the morning, 2 guards entered the cell. They were the same tall, muscular alien women. Their armor clanked as they moved. One of them tossed him a small plate of food, some sort of glowing purple fruit and a chunk of dried meat. Eat, she ordered. Ray looked at the food. Didn't look like anything from Earth, but he was starving. He took a bite. It was sweet, like mango and pepper mixed together. Strange, but not bad. After a while, they motioned for him to follow. Ray stepped out of the cage, hands raised. The guards didn't tie him up, but they kept their weapons ready. He was led through the alien base. The walls were carved from black stone, with symbols glowing faintly on every surface. Alien soldiers trained in large open areas, fighting hand to hand, throwing spears, or firing strange energy weapons. Everyone stared at him as he passed. Some whispered. Some laughed. One even made a low, growling sound, which he wasn't sure was friendly or not. They brought him to a large chamber. At the center stood the commander. She was even more intimidating in daylight. Her armor shone under the alien sun. Her face was sharp, expression unreadable. Her silver eyes locked onto him the moment he entered. You look stronger today, she said. I had breakfast, Ray replied. She ignored his joke and stepped closer. You're lucky. Many who crash here die within hours. You survived the jungle. That means you are either skilled or lucky. I'm a little of both, Ray said. The commander began circling him slowly, like a predator studying prey. Her gaze was sharp, watching his every move. I am Commander Zalatha of Clan Threx. This land is under my control. You are on a restricted training planet. No outsiders allowed. I didn't plan to land here. I was hit during battle and lost control. She stopped in front of him. That is not my problem. Ray raised his hands. I get it. I just want to contact my people and go home. Zalatha tilted her head. We have blocked signals here. You won't be able to send messages. Not without my permission. Ray frowned. So, what happens now? You keep me here forever. Not forever, she said. Just long enough. To learn what I need. He took a step back. And what's that? Zalatha leaned in, close enough that he could feel her breath. To know why you interest me. Ray blinked. Interest you? Why? She didn't answer. Instead, she stepped back and clapped her hands. A screen appeared from the floor, showing footage of Ray fighting the jungle beast. Then it zoomed in on him, unarmed, scared, but standing his ground. You are not strong by our standards, she said. But you did not run. I had nowhere to go. Still, she replied, you chose to face the beast. Most soft-bodied. Species don't fight back. They scream, they beg. You didn't. Ray looked at the screen, then at her. Is that a good thing? For my people, it is everything. She circled him again, thoughtful now. In our culture, she continued, we only mate with warriors those who prove strength. Emotion means nothing, only courage, only will. Ray raised an eyebrow. Is that what all this is about? Some kind of warrior dating test? Alatha didn't smile, but her eyes flickered with something maybe amusement. You are clever. With words, she said, but that won't help you here. Ray crossed his arms. Then what will? Prove your worth. Not just to me, to all who watch. Okay, and how do I do that? She turned and pointed to a group of alien warriors standing nearby. One of them, taller than the others, stepped forward. Her armor was painted red, and scars covered her arms. She looked angry. This is Varza, Zalatha said. She believes I should not keep you here. She thinks you are a weak animal. She challenged my decision. Ray looked at the warrior. Let me guess. She wants to fight me. She wants to crush you. Ray took a deep breath. Great. Zalatha stared into his eyes. If you lose, I will let her decide your fate. And if I win, then you earn a place here. For now, Ray glanced at Varza, who cracked her knuckles and grinned like she couldn't wait to tear him apart. He looked back at the commander. You're serious about this, aren't you? Zalatha nodded once. Very Ray sighed and stepped forward. Fine, he said. Let's get this over with. He didn't have armor, weapons, or training. But he had something no one here seemed to understand: human stubbornness. And if he was going to survive here, he'd have to show them exactly what that meant. Ray stood in the center of the alien training ground. The air was hot, dry, and full of dust. Dozens of alien warriors stood in a circle around him, watching silently. Their tall blue bodies were covered in bone armor, their eyes sharp and glowing. Most of them didn't believe he could last even a minute. Some looked bored, others looked ready to laugh. Across from him stood Varza the warrior, who had challenged his right to stay. She was a monster of muscle, taller than even Commander. Zalatha. Her arms were thick like tree trunks, covered in deep scars. She cracked her neck, then slammed her fists together. I will break you quickly, human, she growled. Maybe I'll keep your skull as a trophy. Ray kept his hands up, breathing slowly. He had no armor, no weapons, just his fists, speed, and brain. Commander Zalatha stood on a platform above the ring, watching with cold eyes. The rules are simple, she said loudly. Fight until one can no longer stand. Ray whispered to himself, no pressure. The signal sounded a loud clang from a war drum. Varza charged like a rhino. Ray jumped aside, barely avoiding her swing. Her fist hit the ground where he had just been, sending dust flying. She turned fast and swung again. Ray ducked, rolled, and backed away. The crowd laughed. Is this a fight or a dance? Someone shouted, "VARZ," snarled. Hold still, coward. Ray didn't reply. He didn't have her strength. She grabbed him even once, it would be over. So he moved fast, light, always circling. He remembered his training on Earth. Use your size, use your speed, use your environment. He kicked a handful of dust into her face. She roared in anger and swung blindly. Ray slipped behind her, hit the back of her knee with a hard kick. She stumbled but didn't fall. He backed off again. The crowd went quiet for a moment. Maybe, just maybe, this little human wasn't as weak as he looked. Varza wiped her face and smiled. You have some tricks, but tricks won't save you. This time, she charged lower, smarter. She tackled Ray hard. A T went flying backward, slammed into the dirt. Breath knocked from his chest. His vision blurred. She stood over him, raising her fist. "Goodbye, worm." Then Ray smiled. He reached down, grabbed a sharp stone from the dirt, and jammed it into her foot. Varza screamed and stumbled. Ray rolled away, got to his feet, and jumped onto her back. He wrapped his arms around her thick neck, holding tight. She thrashed like a wild animal. He didn't try to choke her out. That wouldn't work on a creature this strong. Instead, he reached for her left shoulder where he had seen an old injury scar. He punched it hard. Varza screamed again and dropped to one knee. Ray jumped off and kicked her face with all his strength. She collapsed. Silence. The crowd stared in shock. Ray stood, breathing hard, bruised and bloody, but still standing. Zalatha raised her hand. "Nuff." Varza groaned and tried to rise, but her arms shook and gave out. "She cannot stand," Zalatha said, her voice clear and cold. "The human wins." No one clapped, but no one laughed. Either Ray walked to the center, wobbly but proud. Looked up at the commander. "Well," he asked, "did I pass your test?" Zalatha's eyes glowed softly. "You fought with weakness, but also with strategy. You used your enemy's strength against her. You think like a predator." "Thanks," Ray said, still panting. "Next time, maybe give me armor." Zalatha turned to the crowd. "Let it be known, this human has earned his right to stay. For now, he is under my protection." The other warriors stared at Ray, some in anger, some in surprise. One or two even nodded in quiet respect. Varza was carried off by two soldiers. Ray limped back to his cell, but this time they didn't lock the energy bars. He sat down and closed his eyes. His body ached. His knuckles were bleeding, but he had survived. And now they were watching him differently. That night, Zalatha came to his chamber. "You impressed them," she said. Ray looked up. "Did I impress you?" She didn't answer right away. Finally, she said, "You are still small, still strange, but you are not weak." "High praise," he said, smiling. She stepped closer, serious now. "You should be careful, Ray Carter. You've earned attention. Not all of it is good. I can handle it." She studied him for a long moment. "You fight with fear in your eyes, but not in your heart." He met her gaze. "You said your people only mate with warriors." She blinked slowly. "And you think this is mating now?" "No," he said. "I think this is something else." Zalatha didn't reply. Instead, she turned and walked away. Ray leaned back against the wall. This planet was dangerous. These aliens were powerful. Maybe, just maybe, he was starting to fit in, or at least survive long enough to find a way home. Ray sat near a small fire inside his chamber. He was no longer locked in a cage. After the fight with Varza, he had earned a strange kind of respect, though it still felt more like suspicion. The alien warriors didn't speak to him much, but they didn't mock him anymore either. Some just stared. Some nodded. A few even kept their distance, like they were unsure what he was. But the commander's laugh visited him more often now. Tonight, she entered without a word, her silver eyes reflecting the firelight. She didn't wear her full armor this time, just a dark sleeveless tunic, her glowing tattoos visible on her strong arms. Her presence still filled the room like a storm. "You're healing," she said, pointing at the fading bruises on his face. "I've had worse," Ray replied. "Well, maybe not worse, but close." Zalatha stepped forward and sat across from him. Her expression was unreadable, as always. "You confuse my soldiers," she said. Double quotes. "Yeah, I get that a lot. They don't understand why I allow you to stay." Ray poked the fire with a stick. "Do you?" She didn't answer immediately. Then, softly, she said, "You are not like the others we've met from your kind. You've met humans before. Only, in battle, most scream, most run. Some fight, but they do not think the way you do. You don't fight to win. You fight to survive." Ray smiled faintly. "That's what humans are best at." They sat in silence for a moment. Then he leaned forward. "I want to ask you something." Zalatha nodded. "You said something before about mating season. What does that mean? Why does it matter?" Her eyes narrowed slightly. "It is part of our biology. Our species has cycles. During certain times of the year, the body and mind open to bonding. We call it the binding season. During this time, warriors choose mates based on strength, willpower, and bloodline. And the rest of the time, there is no interest, no emotion. Mating outside the cycle is forbidden. It is seen as weakness." Ray raised an eyebrow. "So when you said, 'I'll make an exception,' I broke a rule," she said quietly. He watched her carefully. "Why?" She met his gaze. "Because you are not like the others, and I don't know why." Ray didn't know what to say. Her voice wasn't cold anymore. It had weight, now uncertainty, maybe even conflict. "I'm just a pilot," he said. "I didn't come here to challenge your ways. I just want to go home." Her eyes softened, just a little. "There may be a way." Ray sat up straighter. "You have communication tech." She stood and walked to the back wall. A panel opened. Inside was a sleek alien device, glowing softly with energy. "This relay connects to the outer defense network," she said. "It is meant only for high command use. Can it reach Earth? Yes. But once activated, your enemies may trace it." Ray stepped closer. "I need to send a message. Earth is in danger." Zalatha looked at him sharply. "Danger?" Ray nodded. "My ship wasn't just damaged. We were ambushed. There's something coming, something big, a fleet. I don't know if they'll attack your people next, but they'll destroy my planet if we don't warn them." Zalatha turned away, her fists clenched. "If I let you use this, I risk breaking the sacred codes. I risk exile." Ray stepped closer. "I know. But if Earth falls, and your planet is next, what's the point of following rules when the war burns everything?" She didn't reply. For a long moment, only the crackle of fire filled the room. Then, she looked at him again. "You will get one message. No more." "Thank you, Ray," said Zalatha, placed her hand on the console. The wall shimmered. A small screen lit up. Symbols danced across the surface. She began entering codes. "You have 60 seconds," she said. Ray took a deep breath and spoke into the console. "This is LT Ray Carter of Stingray 9. Crashed on unknown planet, friendly but advanced warrior species. Warning, hostile fleet. Approaching Earth, estimated contact, 40 to 60 days. Prepare defenses. Trace this signal if possible. I'm alive." The console beeped, then went dark. Ray stepped back. Heart pounding. "It's done," Zalatha said. She closed the panel. "If they trace it," she added, "my people will know I broke the rule. I will face punishment." Ray looked at her, voice serious. "I'm sorry. I didn't want you to risk everything." "You didn't make me," she said. "I chose." There was silence again. But it was different now. Warmer, real. Zalatha turned to leave, then paused at the door. "You asked what mating season means?" she said quietly. "It's when we feel things we normally can't." "And what are you feeling now?" Ray asked. She didn't answer. She just looked at him one last time and walked into the night. The jungle was quiet, but Ray's heart was not. He sat alone near the edge of the alien outpost. eyes locked on the stars above. He couldn't sleep. Not after what happened. Not after the message. Somewhere out there, Earth had heard him more. Maybe they hadn't. Maybe the signal was lost. Maybe the enemy already knew where to strike next. And maybe Zalatha was already in danger. Because of him, she hadn't returned since letting him use the hidden relay. That was 2 days ago, Ray. Tried to stay calm, but something felt wrong. The guards who used to nod at him now looked away. Some whispered when he passed. The camp's mood had changed. Cold, suspicious. Late that night, it happened. Ray was eating when a group of 6 armored warriors stormed the chamber. He stood. But before he could speak, they grabbed him and slammed him against the wall. "What's going on?" he shouted. A warrior growled. "You sent a message. Forbidden. You don't understand." Earth, they hit him hard. He fell to the ground. "She betrayed the code for you," another said. "She will be punished." Ray's chest tightened. "Where is Zalatha?" "She has been taken," the warrior said. "By the High Order." Then they turned and left him bleeding on the floor. Ray wiped the blood from his mouth and sat up. Slowly, they took her. Because of me. He knew what that meant. The High Order didn't forgive traitors. Even if Zalatha had saved lives, even if she had acted with reason, they wouldn't care. She broke a law, and the price would be high. Ray sat in silence for a long time. Then he stood. He wasn't going to leave. Ray spent the next day quietly observing the base, watching the patrol patterns, counting weapons, noting when drones flew and when they didn't. He talked to no one. He ate little. But inside his mind, the escape plan was growing. That night, as clouds covered the moons, he slipped out of his chamber. No one stopped him. The guards assumed he was broken, just another weak alien. Lost and silent. He made his way to the old drone hangar on the far edge of the outpost. It was rarely guarded, just an engineer or two working on machines. There, he found what he was hoping for. A scout glider. Small, fast, stealth-equipped. He entered the cockpit quietly and powered up the systems. Everything was in alien language. But he remembered enough from Zalatha's lessons to understand the basics. As the engine hummed, a voice behind him whispered, "You are either very brave or very stupid." Ray spun around. A tall warrior stood at the door. It was Cora, one of the few who had ever shown him any respect. "I'm going to get her back," Ray said. "You can stop me or help me." Cora stared at him for a long moment. Then, to his surprise, she nodded once. "You are not like the others. You fight for your kind, and for hers." She handed him a small bag, rations, and a map of the High Order's prison tower. Ray blinked. "Why are you helping?" "Me?" "She believed in you. That is rare, even among our own. Make it worth it." Ray climbed into the glider, powered it up, and took off into the night sky. The jungle dropped beneath him. The stars shone above. His heart pounded. "I'm coming, Zalatha. Just hold on." The prison tower was built into a mountain, tall spike of dark stone surrounded by glowing shields and heavy turrets. But Ray had speed, surprise, and Cora's map. He landed far outside the perimeter and continued on foot, crawling through the jungle, avoiding drones and patrols. His body ached, but he kept moving. Inside the tower, the halls were silent, cold, and made of black crystal. Ray used every trick he had: stealth, distraction, even mimicry of alien commands to move past guards. Finally, he found her. Zalatha was inside a glowing chamber, arms chained to the wall, her tattoos dim, her eyes closed. Ray rushed to her. "Zell, can you hear me?" Her eyes opened slowly. "You fool. What are you doing here?" "Saving your life," he said, pulling at the control panel. "You'll be killed." She whispered, "Maybe, but I owe you, and I'm not leaving." "Without you?" He hacked the panel with trembling fingers. Sparks flew. The chains released Zal's single quotes. Atha dropped to her knees. Ray caught her, helping her stand. More alarms sounded. "They know," she said. "Then let's make it count." They ran together down halls, through blast doors, dodging energy blasts and guards. Ray used stolen codes to disable turrets. Zalatha, weak but fierce, fought anyone who got too close. Finally, they reached the outer wall. The glider was waiting. They climbed in as enemy fire lit up the sky. Ray pulled the controls, and the glider launched into the air, streaking into the night. Behind them, a tower burned beside him. Zalatha coughed and leaned back. "You're insane," she said. Ray smiled. "I get that a lot." The jungle glider hovered just above the surface of the river, hidden in the fog of early morning. Inside, Ray sat with his hands tightly gripping the controls. He hadn't slept since the prison escape. Zalatha sat beside him, silent, her arm bandaged, her body bruised, but her eyes still fierce. They were now both fugitives. Zalatha stared out the window, watching the mist roll across the treetops. "The high order will come. For both of us," Ray nodded. "Let them." She turned to him. "They will not show mercy. I betrayed the oath. You broke into a sacred prison that is punishable by death." Ray's voice was calm but firm. "They can try." A soft beep came from the ship's console. A red icon flashed incoming message. Ray's eyes widened. "It's from Earth." Zalatha watched him closely as he pressed the control. A voice crackled through the speaker, broken but clear. "LT Carter. This is General Ruiz, Earth Defense Command. We received your warning. You were right. The enemy fleet is approaching. Estimated time to Earth orbit, 32 days. We're preparing defenses. Your transmission saved lives." Ray let out a slow breath. But the message wasn't finished. "We also detected alien signals around your location, powerful ones. If you're allied with local forces, we request assistance. Anything that can help. Earth will stand, but we may not stand alone." The message ended. Ray looked at Zalatha. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "They want our help." "They need it," Ray said. "Earth is outnumbered. But if your people fight with us, we have a chance." Zalatha's jaw tightened. "The High Order will never agree." "Then we don't ask." He stood, energy returning to his voice. "We go to your people. The warriors, the ones who saw what I did, the ones who still respect you. Maybe they'll listen." Zalatha shook her head. "I've been marked as dishonored." Ray stepped closer. "But they still believe in strength. Right now, doing. Nothing is weakness. We need to fight." She stared at him, silent, then slowly nodded. "Then we go to the tribes." The next few days were a blur of travel through wild jungles, across broken terrain, over ancient ruins of past wars. Ray and Zalatha moved quickly, hiding from patrols, watching for scout drones. At night, they camped near rivers and under cliffs. They barely slept each night. Ray saw something different in her. Not just the warrior, but the leader she once was, and maybe still could be. And in return, she saw something in him. Someone who never gave up, even when everything was lost. Finally, they reached the Stone Circle, the ancient meeting ground of the warrior clans. The largest tribe, Clan Vorok, was gathered there, dozens of tall, powerful alien warriors sharpening weapons, training, arguing around fires. Among them was Korra, the one who had helped Ray escape. When they saw Zalatha approach, silence fell. All eyes turned. Some reached for weapons, but Korra stepped forward. "You shouldn't be here." Zalatha held her head high. "I know, but I come with a message." Korra narrowed her eyes. From the High Order, no, Zalatha said. From Earth? From him. Ray stepped beside her. Earth is under attack. A fleet is coming. 30 days, maybe less. Murmurs spread. Through the crowd, Ray raised his voice. I know your laws. I know she broke them. But what matters now is survival. For all of us. Cora crossed her arms. And why should we care about your world? Ray looked around the circle, meeting the eyes of every warrior. Because if Earth falls, they will come here next. You saw what I did in the arena. I fought. With nothing, but I didn't give up. My people won't either. We fight until our last breath. You want to see true warriors. Stand with the sand. You'll see. Zalatha placed a hand on his shoulder. They want to fight, but they need a reason. Ray turned back to the warriors. Don't fight for me. Don't even fight for her. Fight for your world. Before it's too late. The wind passed through the circle. Then Cora stepped forward. She dropped her blade into the ground. I will fight. One by one, others followed by the end of the hour. Over 100 warriors had pledged their blades to the cause. Zalatha turned to Ray, eyes bright. You gave them what I could not. Ray smiled faintly. You gave me a chance. I just passed it on. But not everyone was loyal. That night, far away in a black tower deep in the mountains. The High Order listened to the report. Zalatha lives, one elder said. And now she raises an army. Another hissed. The human is the spark. Kill him, silence her, and destroy Earth before they unite. They activated a long-buried protocol weapon never used before. A stealth ship left the tower, heading toward the jungle. Its target, Ray Carter. The skies above, Earth, were no longer blue. They burned red and orange as the enemy fleet arrived in orbit, massive ships shaped like black daggers, spreading like a plague across space. Cities prepared for war. Earth's defense, satellites locked. On targets, giant steel towers lit up with weapons never tested before. And above it all, deep in space. The first blow was seconds away. Ray Carter stood on the deck of the alien flagship. An ancient war cruiser given to him by Clan Varrock. Alien. Warriors surrounded him, each one ready to die in battle. Beside him stood Zalatha, armored in black and silver, eyes sharp, glowing like fire. This wasn't just his fight anymore. It was everyone's single quotes as 20-4 hours earlier. Earth had received a strange signal from deep space, a fleet of unknown ships broadcasting in a frequency no human had ever heard before. Then came the second signal rays transmission, boosted through alien tech. Earth, this is LT Carter. We are not alone, and we're not unarmed. I've brought help. Now, humans and aliens stood side by side, watching the skies. Inside the ship, Ray paced, checking the last systems. The countdown had begun. You ready? Zalatha asked. No, he said, smiling faintly. But that's never stopped me. She stepped closer. You fought without armor, without hope, without backup, and still, you survived. Because of you, he replied. Zalatha looked away. I broke my people's laws. I lost my rank and found your purpose, he said. You're not just a warrior, Zell. You're a leader. A quiet moment passed. Then the alarm rang. Enemy ships approaching. Battle starting. Ray looked at her. Let's end this. The alien warriors launched first, hundreds of fast fighters swarming the dark sky. Earth ships followed. Lasers flashed across the stars. The sound of war echoed through the comms. Ships exploded. Hulls cracked. Screams filled the channel. Ray flew the flagship straight into the center of the enemy formation. Zalatha barked commands. Flank from the right. Protect Earth satellites. Ray locked weapons. Target their command ship. Hit them where it hurts. They dove toward the enemy's largest cruiser, but it wasn't alone from beneath the clouds. The High Order's stealth ship appeared its mission still the same. Destroy the human. Silence the traitor. A direct hit struck Ray's wing. The ship spun. Hold it. Zalatha shouted. Ray gritted his teeth, forcing the controls steady. Smoke filled the bridge. Sparks burst from the panels. We're hit, someone yelled. Keep going, Ray said. We have one chance. The command ship loomed ahead. Ray. Opened, comes to Earth. Now. Fire all cannons at my coordinates. You're right. On top of, do it. He shouted. The Earth defense system locked onto his signal in a split second. A massive beam of energy fired from Earth's surface, blasting the enemy command ship into a ball of fire. Ray's ship was caught in the edge of the blast. The cockpit cracked, lights failed. Everything went white. When Ray opened his eyes, he was on the ground. He was lying in a field of broken metal, flames flickering nearby. Smoke filled the sky. Above, the enemy fleet was scattering. Some ships exploded, others retreated. The battle was turning. Zalatha crawled to him, blood on her arm, her eyes wide. You fool, she said. You were supposed to survive. I did, he whispered, barely. She laughed, a strange, soft sound. Warriors landed around them, both alien and human, cheering. The enemy had fallen back. The skies cleared. The silence of victory finally arrived. Ray sat up slowly, his ribs aching. We did it, he said. Zal single quotes Atha helped him up. You changed everything. Later, as the sun rose over a healing Earth, Ray stood on a hill with Zalatha. Behind them were burned ships, smoking towers, and banners of both Earth and alien clans raised together. Earth's leaders offered Zalatha a place among their council. She refused. I do not belong in your politics, she said. But you belong in the story, Ray told her. She looked at him. And what about you, Ray Carter? He smiled. I think I'll stay off-world a little longer. Help rebuild. Teach your people sarcasm. They will hate it, she said. They'll learn. She hesitated, then stepped closer. In our culture, she said, a warrior may choose a bondmate after war. Ray raised an eyebrow. But it's not mating season. Ooh, she smirked. I'll make an exception. Epilogue legends spread across both Earth and the alien clans of a stubborn human who fought with no armor, who earned the heart of a commander, and who turned enemies into allies. They called it the day the stars changed. But Ray just called it the day I stopped running and started fighting for something bigger. And somewhere out in the stars, under the twin moons of a distant world, he and Zalatha stood side by side, not as enemies, not as lovers, but as equals.